Hello and welcome to a special episode of The Silver Lining, normally the weekly geekly talk show where we discuss any number of topics that may have come up during the week. But today we have a little bit of a special episode. I may want to start doing this a little more often, so we'll experiment with that for now. But today I want to talk about Sony's State of Play. Sony's State of Play was earlier this morning, and I caught it. I caught like half of it, and then I went back and I rewatched the whole thing. I'm your host, Uncle Silver, aka Silver Greg, aka Greg, whatever you're comfortable calling me. And welcome to you, my co-host, to chat. Always a fantastic time having you here, especially in this special episode. It's very nice to be able to talk about some of this stuff. I could not wait. Normally we do the show Fridays at 5 p.m., and I didn't really want to wait because I knew that between this, the Indie World discussion, well, the Indie World presentation from Nintendo, and Game Awards were going to be this upcoming Thursday. I knew that Friday was going to be super duper jam packed, so I wanted to do little episodes right now, and then we're also going to do an Indie World one. So if you're watching this on YouTube, after this is done, go over and check the playlist, and there should hopefully be another episode of this up for Indie World. And hello to everybody, Bert, Lilac, AGM, Rye, Green Soul, Latimer, Emil, Chuck, Brandon, whoever else we got here. Excuse me a minute. So Sony State of Play was today, December 10th, and it's never really interesting. Sony is still not, I can't even say new, because this is probably like the fourth or fifth one. So it's not necessarily new. So I'm not going to give them credit for that. They've gotten a little better. They've gotten a little bit better. So I think they're starting to, they're not as big as Nintendo Directs. They don't feel as big. You know, Nintendo Directs always, whether we expect it, whether it happens or not, we always kind of expect this big giant spectacle of an event. And normally we get some really decent stuff. For the last year or so, we keep getting Smash news, and Smash news is always very, very interesting and gets everybody talking. So the State of Plays are trying. They're not. They function very well as info dumps. What they don't function very well as is hype generators, and that seems to be the big problem. This State of Play could have been a huge hype generator, and I feel bad. I feel really bad for Sony in this situation. This could have been a giant State of Play, and okay, sorry, I got a message on my phone, and it had the wind sucked out of its sails, because a couple of days before, the two biggest announcements that were in this State of Play were revealed like a few days ago. So these should have been giant announcements. And we've had this discussion before. I actually did a video about that, where people keep doing spoilers, and spoilers kind of ruin everything. They suck the fun out of it, and that's sort of what happened here. But what I'm going to do is, normally what we do is we break down every when we do these State of Play, indie, Nintendo Direct things, we talk about, gotta love the state of leaks, am I right? Thank you for the 5 bits, Fox. Yeah, it does kind of suck the fun out of everything. But what I normally do is I go through every game, and I talk about the overall event. And the overall event, like I said, it was functional. It could have been bigger, but it wasn't because of leaks. But now what I like to do is we go through every game. So the first thing we had was Untitled Goose Game is coming to PS4, which I think that's coming December 17th. What needs to be said about Untitled Goose Game? It's a silly game that is, it's great. It does exactly what it's supposed to do, and it does it in a fantastic way. And to be fair, it was the companies themselves that it was a big oops. Yeah, Chuck. My understanding was that the Resident Evil thing wasn't the company, that it was something else, but then they basically reaffirmed it because they kind of had to. But when will it get a Titus Sombra? Every time I see it, I think, one day they're going to name this game. So then we got Spellbreak. Spellbreak actually looks kind of cool. I'm very interested in giving that game a try. It's like, and you're going to hate me if I say this, but you're going to hate me. Because of the graphic style, which is that sort of plasticky, I think it's the Unity engine. It does that, where it's sort of like Overwatch. You know what I mean. It's kind of like magical Fortnite. Where they advertise it as this team game. I'm really, really hoping there's a solo mode. Forced team-based games, other than Splatoon, and Splatoon is like a miracle that I really like that game. But forced team play never really works well for me. I'm more of a single player person. I don't mind trying team play at some point, but normally I like single player games. So I'm hoping that there is a single player feature, which is funny because I say magical Fortnite, and when Fortnite was first brought on, when it first came out, it was sold. I was actually interested in it, and I didn't realize that it had come out at the time. It was sold as this sort of party-based game versus zombies, which was the whole idea. That was the save the world aspect. And then the battle royale aspect was something that you got for free. And of course, obviously, we know that the battle royale aspect took over everything. It's sort of like GoldenEye, where the multiplayer drastically overwhelmed the single player. Like anime, fantasy, Fortnite, Magic, Anthem. The visual effects of Spellbreak looks nice, but it needs to differentiate itself from other. I mean, the Magic aspect enough, I think, does a good job of differentiating it from every. Like, you're not gonna look at Spellbreak and say, "Oh, so it's kind of like Apex Legends." Like, no, they're all gun shooters. So just the fact that it's Magic visually is different. Fortnite has the building. When you see the building in Fortnite, you say, that's Fortnite. When you see the Magic, when you see them casting spells and you don't see guns, you're going to say, oh, that's Spellbreak. GoldenEye, a single player? I think so. I've never played it. I've never beaten the single player mode in GoldenEye. I didn't care. Yeah, that's what happens when you give people pay to get story but free to play online mode. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I'm like, yeah. So then we got Dreams, which was weird. Which I think it's supposed to be weird, but it came across as weird. Then we got Superliminal. You should play some jazz lounge music in the background. I should play lo-fi Steven Universe music. Yeah, it still looks like Fortnite and Apex, but a Magic spin. Still the same battle royale formula, even down to dropping in the battle. It's a bit samey. Yeah, I wonder if that's gonna hurt it, that it feels a bit samey. I don't know. I think the battle royale thing is fine. I think people are just tired. It's the same problem that I have with I hate Fortnite. I hate Fortnite. Well, what didn't you like about it? I just hate hearing about it all the time. So you don't actually hate the game. You hate the players. And that's sort of what the battle royale is to me. Like, I think battle royale is fine. I think people are just tired of hearing about Fortnite. Yo. Yeah, Dreams was a bit weird. Superliminal was kind of interesting looking. It was like you kind of have to wrap your head around it, which is very, very interesting. There have been games like that. Portal to me is a game that you kind of have to alter how you view the game in order to be able to play it. Your Portal and especially Superliminal, they mess with your spatial reasoning, and you have to have an awareness that is higher than what you're used to having. It's all perspective is everything. If you've ever seen those pictures, and that's what Superliminal, obviously it does it a few times in the game, where something looks like it's floating in the air, and it's because the way it's painted is like it's painted on the ground and then the walls, so that when you look at it from a certain angle, it actually sort of bends the image to look like something just sort of hovering in space. But then when you get that image, those things will appear. Like, it's very, very interesting. I was very fascinated by it, and I know that I'm at least going to want to try it. I would say that is a game that very much needs a playable demo. I love playable demos. I think that they're obviously great snippets of games. That game in particular is a game that I think you would sell more if you said, here's the first level, and people got to see, oh man, that's what this game is about. No, QH, we're getting there. I'm going through every game as they were on the presentation. Yeah, it looks at the PS4 controller from a certain angle, and suddenly it's gigantic. Well, this is my Switch controller. Yeah, I don't like that there are not as many demos as there used to be. I like demos. Some games don't demo very well. You don't need a demo of Animal Crossing. That's a tough game to make a demo for because you don't know where you're going to stop it. Games like Superliminal, if they're stage-based, like Portal. Portal could have had the first 5 levels as a demo, and that would have given you a fantastic snippet as to what the game is. I think that's important. Games like Spellbreak, where you're going to have one small map to play as, so you get an idea of what the battle system is like. I mean, I don't know if the game's going to be free to play. That's the thing. Some of these games
are intriguing to me, and I wish to subscribe to your newsletter.
John F., thank you so much for the follow. Very much appreciate that. Games like Spellbreak, maybe you get a small map, you get to understand what the game is like, you get to understand the controls a little bit. So it's an idea for you. It's a chance for you to say, okay, this is what the game is about. This is one of the big selling points of the game. Let me give it a shot. Then we got Paper Beast, which is a VR game, which as I was watching it, QH, thank you so much for the 100 bits. Have some free bits. Thank you very much. Very much appreciate that. Paper Beast is a VR game. I have a problem with this game. Not the game itself. My issue is that as I was watching it, it highlighted my biggest problem with VR. And I think I'm going to do a separate video on that. I have a problem with VR. And Paper Beast is a great example of that. And to put it mildly, it looks like a tech demo. And that's it. And that's probably a video that I want to do. I may do it as a silver lining video. For anybody that is familiar with my other my YouTube videos, the few that I have, a lot of them are like essays where I have pictures and I talk about stuff. I may want to start doing something like this where I'm a little bit more face to face. But I have a problem with VR, and Paper Beast is a primary example of that. But that's a video for another time. Then we got the first big problem, the first big leak, which was Kingdom Hearts 3. We got the video for the Kingdom Hearts 3 DLC, which we all saw like a few days ago. I am not the biggest Kingdom Hearts player. I'm not to say that I'm not a fan of it. It's just I only ever played the first one, and now Kingdom Hearts, on the surface, when people talk about it, it sounds so daunting and confusing that it's difficult for me to say, okay, I'm going to put the effort in to play some Kingdom Hearts. I wish I wasn't spoiled. I think that would have been a gigantic announcement to show this DLC, to show Kairi being played, even if she's only going to be played for a short while. But it got ruined. It got spoiled a few days before, and it was a bummer. It really was, because you see in this in this state of play that would have been huge. And that's what the state of plays need. The state of plays, they need to start building a reputation for being an important video to watch. Because that's what Nintendo Directs have done. Nintendo Directs have gotten to this point where when there's a Nintendo Direct, we're expecting something. And that's what state of plays need. They need these big announcements to do that for them. Then we got Predator Hunting Grounds, which seems very cool. It seems a lot like the Friday the 13th game, which is, you're either one of the commandos or you're the Predator. That's what it seems like. I don't know if there's going to be a single player mode. Cool concept. I mean, it's based on the first Predator movie. It looks like you're in the jungle, and I mean, that's pretty cool. I like that. Sony needs to handle the leaks like Nintendo. A little sour with how Kingdom Hearts 3 ended. I don't even know. It's so daunting to want to get into Kingdom Hearts because I wouldn't mind seeing. I love the first game, so I wouldn't mind seeing what the rest of them are like. But I don't know. It just seems all so confusing. And even when Nintendo gets leaked, they still get something else. Yeah, AGM, and that's another thing where Nintendo. And I don't want to. I want to talk about the state of play, so I don't want to go off on Nintendo too much. But Nintendo usually has a lot of very decent reveals or news. So even when something gets revealed, there's usually other stuff there to say, oh, well, that was revealed, but the other stuff was actually really interesting. I think one of the biggest presentation issues with the state of play is that they graphically make it similar to Nintendo Direct to the point where it's a blatant copycat. They can do this with their own feel, I'm sure. But they don't, and that's what bugs me about all these states of play. Yeah, I think they're still trying to fight for their own identity. So, they figure, copy from the best. Yeah, I imagine, the people who put the state of play together, people at Sony were probably like, you know what? Way to ruin our biggest announcement. One of our biggest announcements. Because then the other one also got ruined. This is Nintendo Direct almost as the world. Yeah, the world stops to listen. Sony state of play is like, oh boy, I wonder what they're gonna say. Nintendo Direct is like, oh boy, I wonder what they're gonna say. But we'll go back to the state of play here. Babylon's Fall was the next game, and it looked a lot like Nier Automata, which is a good thing. It actually that's a positive thing to say. It wasn't much to it. They specifically said, we're looking forward to hearing more news on this, which means that they knew that they were not showing you a lot of information on there. So that's totally fine. Then we got 3Make, which is the other thing that should have been huge. It should have been, especially with the nature of this reveal. Because the way this reveal worked is that everybody knew there was something coming out called they were calling it Project Resistance. But nobody really knew what it was. But a lot of people thought that it was going to be Resident Evil 3. It turns out that what's happening is that Project Resistance is going to be some sort of multiplayer game. And that the single player campaign to that multiplayer game is Resident Evil 3. That seems to be what's happening with this. Which is a cool concept. That's a great idea. Rather than just saying, hey, here's 3Make. You say, oh, there's this other thing that's coming out with it. So the Resident Evil 3 remake is actually only half of what's going on. That's a cool thing. And that's still, even though Resident Evil 3 got spoiled, we didn't know about the other half. So that's still an interesting thing. The problem is that this should have been a gigantic announcement, and it wasn't because it got spoiled, and that hurt them. If Resident Evil 3, if 3Make and Kingdom Hearts did not get spoiled, people would be talking about this state of play for days. And people would have been saying, this is what the state of play is supposed to be. Now I'm hyped for the next one because now they're getting to the point where they know big announcements are what sell these events. And they had it all sucked out of them. The one thing I will say that helps them in their favor is that these announcements got spoiled ahead of time. The only thing that got spoiled here was the state of play. they could make big announcements at the Game Awards in 2 days, and no one's going to know because everybody's focusing on what just happened on the State of Play. That's big. That's a good thing. For all we know, that for all we know, this Sony leaked the State of Play stuff on purpose because they don't want anybody talking about the Game Awards. So it's re. Here's the thing. 3make, I'm gonna call it. Gets a pass in terms of hype because the trailer wasn't leaked. Yeah, only some screenshots. The bait and switch they did with the project. Yes, you're absolutely right. There's a bit of a pass there with Remake. Kingdom Hearts, unfortunately, the whole thing got leaked before. Going in about, I kind of feel that it took years to get to the second remake, but now we're getting to the third one. I think they realize how big remake 2 was. So that's, and they're probably going off of the Resident Evil engine. See, that's a thing. When they did the Resident Evil 2 remake, they had to create a game engine for that. They're probably going to use modified versions of that engine to make more Resident Evil games, and I don't think anybody's going to complain. I don't think anybody's going to care because Resident Evil 2 looked amazing. So if you use that same engine to remake 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 for some reason, because people seem to hate those games, no one's going to complain. No one's going to be mad that it's the same engine. It looks great. So I don't understand what the problem is. 3Make's case, it was spoiled like that was spoiled like 2. Well, yeah, I thought it was like last week. You might try to save face during the Game Awards. Jazz lounge music and Uncle on an overcast day. Where's my caramel frappe? Hold on, I'm moving quick here. Ghost of Tsushima. Ghost of Tsushima is a big deal. I doubt outside of Ghost of Tsushima, Sony will have anything at the Game Awards. See, I don't know. In Hero, that's the thing. This State of Play is kind of a distraction in that way, where you don't think so because you think that any big news they would have put here, and they're probably not. That's probably why they put the State of Play here. The final thing after that, we got a date for a 3make, which was also not news up until now. So that's a good thing. Unfortunately, the beginning of 2020 is just going to beat the hell out of everybody's wallet. And I think that people are not happy about that. The final announcement we got was Ghost of Tsushima. They showed a little bit more of it and said specifically that they're going to show more of it at the Game Awards. I predicted when in the last Silver Lining when I did predictions for the State of Play, and I predicted that during the State of Play they were going to talk about Ghost of Tsushima for PS4, and then during the Game Awards we're going to see that it's also coming to PS5. So it's going to be cross-generation. We're going to get sort of like they did with Breath of the Wild, where there's a version on the Wii U for the people that still have the Wii U, and then there was going to be a new version to make you want to go out and get a Switch so you can see what the better version of the game looks like. I think Persona 3 did something similar, or Persona 5. I know that there's a Persona 5 on PS3 and PS4. I think that's what they're going to do with Ghost of Tsushima. I think on the Game Awards, they're going to announce that they're going to show more footage for Ghost of Tsushima, and then they're going to show you footage of the PS5 version, and they're going to announce that it is also coming to PS5. Yeah, why not just show the? Well, I know that they didn't want to talk about the PS5 anywhere during the State of Play. They wanted to talk about the PS4. Which again, if TGA is your main focus, why are you making this in a AGM? There's a reason you do this. There is a reason you do this. The reason you do this, you do the State of Play, and you make sure, because remember they announced before that they were at the State of Play, they were not going to talk about PS5. The reason you do this is because the PS4 is still alive. The PS4 is still a strong system that obviously it's not like you can run out and get a PS5 now. PS5 is not going to be for another year probably. You still show support for this system. You're still supporting it. Obviously all of these games are coming to PS4. You still have to show support for the system, which means you still have to release big games for it. You're not going to say, hey, the PS5's coming out next year, so you might as well throw your PS4 in the trash. You know, you still have to make games for it. You still have to make sure that people understand that the system that you have invested so much time and money in, we still care about. Nintendo has been doing that for the 3DS. You know, only now they're starting to wind it down, but they still want people to know that, look, we're still supporting the 3DS. It's not garbage yet. We haven't ignored it up until now. You still have to do that. That's important. And the systems, they still sell. PS4 still sell. 3DS still sell. You know, there's still some support out there for these systems. So yeah, you do have to pay attention to the PS4. You do have to, the state of play. It's a smart move to not have the state of plays be about the PS5, because then people are going to say, oh, well, if the PS5 is their main focus, I don't need to care about PS4 right now. And then over the next year, they start to see their sales slip because no one wants to invest in the PS4 if they're going to then have to buy a new system. Yeah, we'll still get PS4 games after PS5 releases. There's no question of that. We'll probably still get them for a couple of years after that. Yeah, that the PS4 is Sony's only gaming bread and butter right now. Yeah, if you imagine you do the state of play and you show all of these games coming to PS4, and then the last thing you do is you show everybody the newer, stronger, better system that is going to make the PS4 obsolete. No one's going to buy a PS4. No one's going to focus on these games because they're going to think, oh, well, the next thing is coming out, so why am I even going to bother? So those were all the games. Overall, like I said, the presentation itself was relatively decent. You know, it does its job as an info dump. It should have had big, giant events, big, giant announcements, 2 in particular, but it didn't because they got ruined. So the fact that they got ruined doesn't deter from the fact that there was big information in this. And because of that, I will say that the state of plays are getting a little bit better. The presentation's still a little blah, but as info dumps, it's hard to do these. It's hard to make it feel like a spectacle, you know, and that would help. The spectacle feel needs to be things like the Game Awards, E3, you know, until those go away and all that's left are these states of play, Indie World, Nintendo Direct, Inside Xbox. Until those are the only things left, these are always going to function as, here's the information, here's the game, here's a release date, and that's really what it's going to be. That being said, it's a fine event. It's a fine thing to have. I'm okay with it. I don't groan as much anymore. People, you know, oh, state of play. Oh, I don't really do that anymore, just because, especially with this one, we are getting good information now. It's just a matter of it not getting spoiled. But that is going to do it for our state of play discussion. If you are watching this live, very much appreciate that. Stick around because we are going to talk about something else. But if you're watching this, if you're watching a VOD or you're watching this on YouTube, thank you so much for stopping in and checking out the conversation. Be sure to go ahead and do the like thing, do the follow thing. Head on over, check the link down below, and head on over to Twitch, where we do stuff like this from time to time, and we do gameplay all the time. And so stop on in, and let me get my button ready. And I will see you all for, I don't know, the next video, or I don't normally do this in this format. I normally have a longer format show. So if you're remember to stay if you're staying, and if not, I will see you all